I'm back. Oh shit! What is up everyone? It is me with ADHD. It's been a while, hasn't it? This feels kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of weird. A lot of things have happened over the last year, one of them being the fact that I put all the weight back on that I lost before my baby was born. I got a new tattoo, you see right there, now I have the two. Pretty cool. I built a gym in my garage and I used it all of about 3 times. And the biggest one, of course, being the birth of my daughter, Pepper. Who dat? You just see yourself on the monitor, huh? You see yourself right there. Hi, mama. Pepper's first year of life has been a pretty wild one. It doesn't help that she was a pandemic baby. That was pretty crazy in itself. But just being a dad for the first year has been really wild for me. So I thought today I want to talk about what it's been like being a first-time parent with ADHD, also with Tourette's too, and how I've coped with it. It's been very difficult. So Pepper was born early September of last year, and leading up to the birth, I was pretty excited to say the least. I was also nervous too. It was like the height of everything going on at the time, which was pretty crazy. There was a lot of restrictions at the hospitals, which meant that only me and Laurel were allowed to be there. And I had to get tested right on the night before, while Laurel was being admitted, which was pretty crazy and scary as well. But despite that, it all went pretty well and I was allowed to be in there. I will say, as a photographer, I asked if I could bring my camera in with me, and they went out to get me like this little bag for my phone, and when they came back I was like fully strapped with my Nikon DSLR and a massive lens on it, and I was fully ready to go documentarian on that. The next few days I was in this crazy hyperfocus looking after the baby. Laurel was obviously bedridden. I barely slept at all. I focused entirely on all the parental duties, and it's funny because I remember everybody telling me that once your baby's born, you just kind of have this moment, right, where you feel like life changed for you. And it's just like this big overwhelming moment where you're just kind of looking at your baby and it's like just life-changing, right? And I don't know if it's just because so much was happening at once that my ADHD brain couldn't even handle and process what was happening, or I was just in hyperfocus on taking care of Pepper and Laurel, but I don't remember feeling that. I find like when there's a lot of things going on and there's stress involved, I seem to go into this real like autopilot mode where I just do what's needed of me, and I just tend to feel a little bit out of the actual moment itself. Does that make sense at all? So I will say, fellow ADHD dads to be, or parents to be in general, if this is you, don't worry about it. For me, that feeling came like over time. The next few months were an absolute roller coaster. Like, forget sleep, by the way. At this point, my hyperfocus was still going strong. I was up with mom at every single feeding. Really, I was trying to do as much as I could. And my biggest concern at this point was actually my Tourette's. My current tic right now is clearing my throat, and the baby was staying in our room in her own little bassinet, and I was so worried that all the throat clearing was gonna keep her up all night. Laurel was less concerned than I was. She said that her theory was like that the baby could hear outside the womb anyway, so she might have already been used to my throat clearing, and if she wasn't, she probably would be soon enough, right? This did make me feel better, but it makes me sad sometimes to think that something that bothers me so much in my own life like would then transfer over to my daughter and bother her as well. It just bothers me, you know? Anyways, she actually went into her own room at about 4 months, so it was relatively short-lived. Although I'm convinced still that some nights I'm waking her up because she can hear me through the wall. Bloody Tourette's, man. Oh, here's a classic ADHD trait for you. I totally underestimated the work involved in looking after your baby on your own and bit off way more than I could chew and went back to work earlier than I should have done. Parental advice, take the time you need, and then when you do get to the point where you go back, get some help. I thought, this is fine. I can just set up a space for her on my desk, put a rocker in the corner, you know, it's all gonna be great. It's gonna be fine. This is fine. Look, here she is sitting right next to me. Except, they do require much more attention than you think. I'd be in meetings, calming down the baby, doing feed-ins, diapers, you name it. I've done it during a Zoom call. I bet you any money. Eventually I got into the groove of it, but by that time we got a babysitter, and having her for 4 hours a day, I could not believe how much time the baby actually took. As she's gotten older and become more aware and she's able to move around, it's been like the most amazing thing to watch. Like, the teacher in me and the competitor in me has been there to like help her reach new goals all the time, like rolling over, crawling, and eventually to walking, which has been a trip. Now she's like a whole year old, she's practically running around. She's not a baby anymore, she's like a tiny human. And that is like mind-blowing to me. My wife will say to me like, can you believe that we made this? Like that it's a part of us? And I honestly can't, it's so crazy. That concept is so crazy to me. That this little like person that you now are responsible for and is like a mixture of the two of you. It's so crazy. She has so much personality in her now. And that feeling that I was talking about of like pure love and life-changing, honest to God, it happens to me every single time she smiles at me or calls me Dada now. She said Dada first, by the way, just saying. There's so many moments that I could share. I could go over them like forever, seriously. This video would go on for hours. But I'll tell you though, as an ADHD parent, it wasn't without its struggles. It really wasn't. Having such a bad memory, I'd forget to do tummy time with her a lot. This led to her having to get a helmet for a brief amount of time. She looked super duper cute in it, but you know, it was because she had a flat spot because I didn't do as much tummy time as I should. My tendency to go from hyperactive and over the top to then having periods where I feel like disconnected and isolate myself was something that I had to really work on, because you can't just isolate yourself from a child. Rejection sensitive dysphoria is something that I'm dealing with right now because Pepper's going through this phase where she's really needy for her mom and she gets really upset when I try to intervene in that. Focus is an issue because children require a lot of it, and unfortunately we don't have much to give. I think when all is said and done, being a parent comes with its challenges. Adding ADHD on top of that can make that challenge a little harder, but the pros by far outweigh the cons. But anyways, that's where I've been. I've been out being a dad, spending my first year with my daughter, and it's been amazing. But the whole time I hadn't forgotten about you guys, and I'm back here, and in the next few weeks I have some really cool videos which have some cool topics. You know, including the entire week that I went without my medication because I forgot to get a refill on a holiday weekend. Of course. Revenge sleep procrastination, a cool new fidget tool that I recently got, and some other really cool stuff, so stay tuned for all that. Now, please enjoy this very millennial ending to my video as I play you out with gotta be the most overplayed music at the end of a video in the entirety of YouTube. See you in the next one.